Welcome, everyone. Now, I know so many of you tuning in today are deeply passionate about the green transition and this wildly fast-evolving world of electric vehicles. We spend a lot of time talking about flashy new releases and cutting-edge tech, but today, we're doing something a bit different. We are putting three highly anticipated EVs through a definitive, totally grounded survival test. Our goal? To find out which vehicle in that highly competitive 25,000 to 32,000 euro bracket will actually last 20 years with minimal headaches. We're talking about the Renault 5 E-Tech, the Volkswagen ID Polo, and the BYD Dolphin. If you're looking for true long-term sustainability, this explainer is exactly what you need.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll meet our contenders. Then, we jump into the battery battle. After that, we'll look at the mechanical reality. And finally, we'll wrap it up with our pragmatic verdict.
All right, Section 1, meet the three contenders.
Now, you might be wondering, if they all cost about the same, aren't they basically the same car? Actually, no. They represent completely different engineering philosophies, built for entirely different drivers. Comparing their baselines, the structural differences are obvious. The Renault 5 is the tightest package here, at just 3.92 meters long on the Ampere small platform. It is literally built for tight city spaces. The VW ID Polo sits right in the middle at 4.05 meters on the MEB Plus platform, but it somehow packs an absolutely massive 441-liter trunk. That is a record for its category. And then there's the BYD Dolphin, the largest of the group at 4.29 meters, built on the E-Platform 3.0, which prioritizes a larger footprint to physically integrated structural battery.
Let's break these down a bit more, starting with the Renault 5 E-Tech. This is your agile digital city car. Because it's under 4 meters long, it's an absolute breeze to park, making it perfect for dense urban areas. It's aimed right at drivers who want that iconic neo-retro pop style, but also demand exceptional agility in heavy traffic. Plus, it comes with native Google Maps and route planning software right out of the box, guaranteeing one of the most fluid, flawless software experiences you can get today. Honestly, it's perfect for singles or young couples.
Moving over to the Volkswagen ID Polo, we have what technical reports are calling the queen of space and rationality. Volkswagen really worked some magic with the wheelbase to overhang ratio here. Since there's no bulky combustion engine in the way, they squeezed a staggering 441 liters of cargo volume out of a 4.05-meter car. That makes the ID Polo a deeply rational choice for families, or really anyone who needs a primary car capable of handling long highway trips loaded up with luggage.
And finally, we have the BYD Dolphin. This one is really the pragmatist's choice. Coming from a massive battery manufacturing giant, the Dolphin uses its 4.29-meter length to focus heavily on occupant comfort and structural rigidity. It also brings an all-inclusive philosophy to the table. When you buy this car, it comes loaded with a massive suite of standard features, like 360-degree parking cameras and advanced driver assistance systems. You don't have to nickel and dime your way through expensive optional packages to get the good stuff.
Section 2, the battery battle. You know, all that architectural efficiency and cool tech, it only matters if the electrochemical energy storage unit, the battery, actually survives. If you're keeping a car for 20 years, the battery is your single biggest financial risk for sure. So, to understand this, we need to define a critical metric, state of health, or SOH. In professional fleet management, SOH is the leading metric for a battery's residual value. Once a battery's capacity drops below 80% of its original rating, it crosses what's known as the end-of-life threshold for operational viability. Hitting that 80% mark means severely reduced range, which eventually forces a wildly expensive battery replacement, essentially ending a car's economical life.
And this brilliantly illustrates where our contenders diverge fundamentally. The BYD Dolphin uses lithium iron phosphate or LFP chemistry, specifically their blade battery design. LFP is famous for being incredibly chemically stable and highly thermally resilient. Crucially, it totally handles being charged to 100% on a regular basis without stressing out. On the flip side, the Renault 5 and the higher-trim VW ID Polo use nickel manganese cobalt or NMC batteries. NMC gives you awesome energy density, meaning more range for less weight, but it degrades much faster and it's highly sensitive to heat and sitting at 100% state of charge.
There is a stark difference in the total full charge and discharge cycles these chemistries can handle before they hit that dreaded 80% state of health threshold. The BYD's LFP battery can shrug off between 3,000 and 5,000 full cycles, but the NMC batteries in the Renault and VW, they are projected to handle only 1,000 to 1,500 cycles. Under heavy, real-world use, those NMC batteries are likely to hit their end-of-life threshold in just 10 to 12 years.
Let me put that 5,000 cycle figure into perspective for a second. For the BYD Dolphin's LFP battery, 5,000 cycles translates to an operational lifespan of 800,000 to up to 1 million kilometers. Think about that. With that level of chemical resilience, holding onto the vehicle for 20 years without ever needing a major battery refurbishment is entirely possible.
Section 3. Mechanical reality.
Because in a 20-year survival test, we gotta ask, what else is gonna break? EVs don't have oil changes, spark plugs, clutches, or timing belts, so your long-term maintenance budget completely shifts toward the chassis, the suspension, and the electronics. Let's look at suspension architecture. The Renault 5 uses a complex rear multilink setup. Now, don't get me wrong, this is amazing for lateral stability and makes the car incredibly fun and agile in corners. But mechanically speaking, it introduces multiple points of failure. Over 15 to 20 years of hitting potholes, all those rubber bushings, joints, and control arms wear out and demand costly replacements and alignments. Conversely, both the VW ID Polo and the BYD Dolphin use a simple torsion beam architecture in the rear. It's a low-intervention, economic design with far fewer moving parts and a much lower risk of structural fatigue over 2 decades.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how interior hardware plays into longevity. Look at the VW ID. Polo, Volkswagen actually listened to feedback and brought back ergonomic, physical buttons on the steering wheel and climate controls. In a 20-year timeframe, physical controls are a massive reliability asset. They outlast touchscreens, and they don't care if the infotainment software gets laggy. The BYD Dolphin, on the other hand, comes standard with a highly valuable heat pump to protect winter range, but it features a motorized rotating infotainment screen. In a 2-decade survival test, a motorized screen is a major, unnecessary mechanical liability. You just know that tiny motor is going to give up the ghost in year 12, right? It's a point of failure just waiting to happen.
Which brings us to Section 4, the ultimate pragmatic verdict. All right, let's bring all this data together to look at the total cost of ownership and crown a winner for the absolute pragmatist. First, we have to look at the economics. All these cars are advertised with base prices right around 25,000 euros. But here's the catch. For the VW and the Renault, that base price only secures a small 37 to 40 kilowatt-hour battery. If you want to match the BYD Dolphin's robust 60.4 kilowatt-hour capacity and get a heat pump, you have to upgrade the trims on the VW and Renault, pushing their actual purchase price up into the 30,000 euro to 32,000 euro range. The BYD Dolphin uses a tutto di serie or all-inclusive philosophy, meaning you get the big battery, the heat pump, and the driver assists for a fixed cost right out of the gate.
So the crucial point is this final 20-year sustainability ranking. In first place for the pragmatic 20-year hold is the BYD Dolphin. Despite the risk of that quirky motorized screen, the massive cycle life of its LFP battery and its simplified torsion beam suspension make it the most solid technical and economic choice to survive 2 decades without massive reinvestment. In second place is the VW ID Polo. It gets super high marks for its incredibly rational 441-liter cargo space and the durability of its physical buttons, but its reliance on NMC batteries in the higher-range versions limits its ultimate life cycle compared to the BYD. And in third place for this specific test is the Renault 5 E-Tech. It is a fantastic, beautiful car for urban driving and tech lovers, but its faster-degrading NMC battery and the complex maintenance of its multilink suspension just make it the least suitable for a strict 20-year pragmatic hold.
I want to leave you with this final question to ponder. When you are personally planning for your role in the green transition, what do you prioritize? Are you willing to pay a premium for that gorgeous neo-retro aesthetic appeal and driving dynamics? Or is true sustainability all about the guaranteed longevity of a 20-year pragmatic technical lifespan? It's a fascinating choice, and understanding the engineering beneath the floorboards helps us make the right one. Thank you all for your incredible passion for EVs and the green transition, and thank you for tuning in to this explainer.